welcome to Web of Stories. My name is Melinda. This is now my third attempt at this video. I did it once, like a week ago. I thought everything was good. I went to go upload it and it wouldn't upload. There was something wrong with the file. So then I started it again and my father called, interrupted it. So now I'm doing it again. This is, see how hard I work for all of you. And if you hear noise, it's my husband in the kitchen because that's my life. Just, you know the deal. There's always news going on. Anyway, there's always noise going on, not news. I guess there's always news going on. I am doing the Dear Publishing tag. I was tagged by Caitlin at Bandy's Books. This is a tag created by Grace at Books and Cooks. I will, of course, tag them down below. There are 6 prompts, and I don't remember what I said in the first video. So we're going to see. Number 1. What is something you would like to see publishing do more of? So everybody answers this question with like, I want to see more diverse books. And yes, I co-sign that completely, but I want to be different. So I had to think a little bit. I would like to see them come out with more books coming straight to paperback. I think that paperbacks are a lot more accessible to a lot of people. I know there are people who like reading in print. I mean, in hardback, and that's great. But I do think that paperbacks have a wider reach than print books do. And I think it would make books more accessible to people. I'm not saying don't put them in hardback, but maybe come out with both. There are people who will want hardcover books. But there are also people who want paperback books. I frequently will get American books from Blackwell's in the UK because I can get them in paperback and cheaper. I paid just over $11 for a brand spanking new copy of Demon Copperhead, which is like $35 here or something. And that included shipping. So I think that there's the whole pricing issue anyway with books. And I understand things are more expensive. I get all that. But I do think that putting books in paperback first instead of having to wait for it would make those books more accessible to a lot of people. That was question 1. Question 2, what is something you would like to see publishing do less of? I would like to see them do less of trying to recapture the thing. So you see this over and over and over again. There's a book that comes out and becomes a thing. The Girl on the Train, and then we had all these girl books because they kept trying to recapture the girl book. I don't know, whatever it is now, whatever the trend is now. And then you just start seeing books that are trying to replicate that first thing. Instead of trying to replicate that first thing, I would like to see publishing try to find the first thing more often. That's a lot more interesting to me. And I think that, you're going to get a much richer reading experience if you are willing to kind of step away from the big thing and try something else. Because we can always reread the big thing, or other people haven't read it yet, or whatever. But I just seeing this duplication of the same tropes over and over and over again. I think there's a question about tropes, if I remember correctly, on here. But anyway, we'll get to that one. So yes, I would like them to see less of them just trying to recapture the magic of a previous book. Question 3. Here we go. Here are our tropes. What is a trope you would like to see more frequently? So I had to think about this one because I usually think of tropes in terms of genre, and we talk about it a lot in romance, but it's in a lot of genres, and it's in just regular fiction as well. The most commonly read genre for me is mystery, so I had to think about mysteries. And I like the mystery series where you have there's a different mystery in each book, but you have a long overarching plot with the characters, and the series regular characters grow and transform through each book. I'm almost done with the Ruth Galloway series. That's one that does it. Of course, the Armand Gamache series. These are series that I love, and the reason I love them is not necessarily because of an individual mystery, but because of the characters that grow and change throughout the series. So I don't know if that's a trope, but I'm going to call it a trope. Question 4. What is a trope you would like to see less frequently? The girl books. I keep thinking we're done with the girl books. It started with Girl on the Train and Gone Girl, and it's always unreliable character that's a woman who's usually alcoholic, maybe slightly mentally ill or whatever. That's we see it over and over again, but it never seems to die. And I'd like it to die. I think we've done it. And then there's the other side of it. I have been reading the first 2 books in the Lexi Bennett series. I always want to call it Lizzie Bennett, but the Lexi Bennett series by Alison Belsham, which are great books, but they're called The Girls on Chalk Hill and The Girl's Last Cry, which is like, they're not the girl books, but they have the title that makes you think that they are. I want them to just put the girl books to bed. That's your 20 teens thing. We're done with it. We're in the 2020s now. Find something new. I'm done with the girls. So yeah. Also, trauma porn. I don't want any more trauma porn. That is a huge turnoff for me anyway, but it seems to be something that people seem to see a lot. And as soon as I see more of, and as soon as I hear a book described as trauma porn, I'm like, no, that's not happening for me. This is why I don't read A Little Life. And I know A Little Life has a lot of literary value, and I'm not trying to discount that. It's just that the trauma porn for me is enough of a turnoff that I'm not going to read it. People talk about with Colleen Hoover. There are other reasons why I have chosen not to read Colleen Hoover. I have like picked up her book in a bookstore, read the first couple pages, realized it wasn't for me, but the trauma porn issue I would not get into. So the girl books and trauma porn, those are things tropes I'd like to see go away. Question 5. What is a change you would like to see in kids' books? So I actually have a good, I thought about this answer, and I feel strongly about my answer, and I do know this is the answer I gave the first time I did this video. When my daughter was like the age where she herself was just starting to read chapter books, so like first grade, maybe a little bit of kindergarten, the books she was getting from her school library, and this is not a ding on school libraries, this is a ding on publishers. They were all books with kind of short, choppy sentences with very easy vocabulary, and they were very much telling books. They were kind of like a narrative step up from Dick and Jane almost, because it was just, so we're going to be very clear about what we say, and we have a very limited vocabulary to do it. Now, I understand with those books, the early reader books, you need to have a simpler vocabulary because that's the vocabulary that kids have at that age. I don't mean a simple, I just mean a simpler vocabulary. But I think that using that very simple sentence structure does a disservice to kids because they don't have that extra tool to start developing a more complex sentence structure themselves if they keep reading these 5-word sentences over and over again. So I was, we were in the point where she was reading to me, I was reading to her, and I was so sick of these books because it was just, and then we picked up, I don't remember the exact title of the book, but the series was Daisy Dawson. And I don't remember the author, I'm sorry. And I started reading it to her, and it was like, it still had the simpler vocabulary that a book aimed for that level of reading needs, but it actually had a complex sentence structure. And it was like, wow, what is this? It was a joy to read. And I think my daughter really enjoyed it. And I think books like that are going to be it's going to make it much easier for kids to become readers themselves when the book itself is a joy and not just paragraphs of 5 sentences, of 5-word sentences, the way a lot of early readers are. All right. Last question. What is a very specific request you have for publishers? Okay, I have 2. I have a frivolous one that I know a lot of people will not agree with me on, and I have one that is not frivolous. I think everyone will agree with me on. The frivolous one that I think half of the people watching with this will be like, oh no, that's horrible. God, please stop deckled edges. I hate deckled edges. It makes it so hard to turn the page. I know it kind of looks neat. I would much rather have a sprayed edge, which looks neat, than a deckled edge, because a sprayed edge, you can still turn the page. Okay, now my more serious wish. Back to the diversity. And I know lots of people say you need to publish more diverse books. And the thing is, I think publishers are getting better with publishing books by diverse authors. They are not yet where they need to be, but they are getting better. But there's another step that needs to be taken. They need to look at where they're putting their marketing dollars and maybe give that to some of the debut diverse authors. Colleen Hoover doesn't, I mean, she has you just say Colleen Hoover has a new book coming out and people who love Colleen Hoover's books are going to be there. Barbara Kingsolver, same thing. I'm not saying don't give them any marketing dollars. I think maybe they don't need as much as you give them. So maybe give that to a debut marginalized author. Think about that. Think about maybe pushing, instead of pushing a debut author who's writing another girl book that you know is going to be a commercial success, maybe give a few more marketing dollars to a marginalized author who's writing something new. People complain every year when the Goodreads awards come out. There's always these uproar about the Goodreads awards. And I would like to say I don't buy into that. To me, the Goodreads awards are what they are, which is just sort of like a poll. It's a poll of readers is what it is. And Goodreads uses how many times books were shelved and things like this, data from readers' usage to come up with their initial list. And if it looks white, that's because people hear about books from white authors. That's not actually a problem with Goodreads. That's a problem with publishers. And so I think that I'm just bringing up Goodreads because I think it's a good illustration of what happens there. Now, if Goodreads were to start to really push some marginalized authors, not even push them, I'm not even saying pushing them more than white authors, just maybe push them more than they're currently being pushed. Ideally, they would push them as much as they push white authors, but wish for the stars, aim for the stars, but be happy with the moon, which is horrible. But if they would just do a little bit more with that, that's it. So those are the 6 prompts. And I am supposed to tag people. Yeah. And I don't remember who's done this and who hasn't. So I'm sure I tagged people in the first video, and I honestly can't remember who I tagged because I didn't make a note of it on my paper. I'm sorry. So I'm actually not going to tag anyone with this one. You know what? I take that back. I am going to tag that because this is a brand new tag and I want to support Grace's new tag. So I am going to tag people who I don't think have done this. I do not think Sue Jackson has done this. So I'm going to tag her. I'm going to tag Books, Ink, and Paper. I just started following her. She's amazing. We met through like the Currently Reading Discord. Just started following her. I love her videos. Please go check her out. I don't know if she's on this tag or not. I don't even know if she does tags, but I'm going to put it out there anyway. Who else should I tag? I don't know. I'm trying to think who I know who to see. I'm not prepared. I was prepared, but then the video died, and this is what happened. So Sue, Books, Ink, and Paper, and I'm going to leave it at that right now because I can't remember who else did it. But if you haven't done this video, please do it because this is a great new tag and I want to see that more. Thank you. If you made it through this video, yay, give me a thumbs up. 3rd time's a charm, apparently. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye.